So thank you very much for coming to one of my breakout sessions. As you know, my name is Victoria Ferrara. I'm a lawyer in the U.S. and I devote my time to surrogacy law and some adoption law. I've had my agency called WorldWide Surrogacy for approximately 12 years now, and we've been growing ever since. I'm gay, I have a partner, and we have 2 children. And that's really how I got into surrogacy, was by being an out lawyer for many years, and eventually my clients started to ask me if I could help them find a surrogate. And so actually that's how I did my first match. Informally, I helped a gentleman from New York, actually a Broadway director who eventually had twins, and he was my first client. So now we have about 60 to 70 births every year, and we have a large team of people in Connecticut where our offices are. We have 15 full-time people that work in various aspects of the agency, so case management, surrogate support, financial matters, and legal. So we think of ourselves as a full-service surrogacy agency. We would like to steer your ship from the time that we meet, like today, through when you have your baby and you come home safely to your country. And we suggest that our international parents have a home country lawyer who can assist us to help you to make sure that we meet the requirements to establish the citizenship in your home country. I have about 50% of my parents are from Europe or Israel. Those are my main areas, and the other 50% from the US. So we have a lot of experience dealing with international clients and the issues that they face. I like to say there are 3 aspects to the surrogacy journey, 3 phases. The first being the matching phase. That is when you're waiting for your surrogate. For us, it takes about 6 months to lock in the surrogate for you. It can be shorter, it's rarely longer. We dedicate ourselves to 6 months or under. During that time, a typical model would be for you to perhaps find your medical clinic and your egg donor and have your embryos made so that they are ready when you have your surrogate. And then we can go right from the match to your embryo transfer. So say the first phase is approximately 6 months. You'll be having a case manager that will be keeping in touch with you, and eventually she'll be showing you profiles of surrogates. Once you're matched, we go into the second phase, which is the medical phase, and that's about a 3-month period. When we go from the match, she goes to your clinic twice, once for the meeting of the doctors and getting on the medication to prepare her body for the embryo transfer, and the second time for the embryo transfer. And then we hopefully have a pregnancy. Sometimes it takes 1 or 2 or 3 tries, and then we go into the third phase, which is the pregnancy. During that time, now you have an ongoing relationship with your surrogate, so you're getting information directly from her. If there's ever a communication issue and you need our help, reaching a doctor, whatever, we are always there, the foundation, supporting you through this process. And most importantly, during the pregnancy, besides, of course, having a healthy baby and the pregnancy going well, would be the legal, to make sure that you become the legal parent or parents of your baby before the birth. So your surrogate might live in a different state from me. I recruit surrogates from all over the US. For example, if you have a surrogate in Colorado, then we're going to have a lawyer in Colorado that we're going to keep in touch with, who's going to establish your legal parentage. And we, as your agency, will make sure that the order gets done, that you have a copy, that your surrogate has a copy, and that the hospital where the birth takes place also knows that you are the legal parents when the baby is born. So again, we're your umbrella, we're the foundation, we're making sure all of this is happening. And then you have your baby, we set you up in a way to be able to go home. You'll get a US passport, you will have citizenship in the US for your baby, and for example, if you're from Germany, then we will have a surrogate who will be willing to travel to the German consulate to establish your citizenship for your baby in Germany. And whatever country you're from, we're going to work with a lawyer from that home country and make sure that you're well taken care of and protected in going home and dealing with the immigration issues. So backtracking a bit now, one of the most crucial things that we do to make sure that you have a safe and sound surrogacy journey is screening of the surrogates. So we have a very rigorous protocol. We have a lot of outreach to recruit surrogates. We probably get in between 20 and 40 applications a week, but the reason for the waiting time is only about 3% of those surrogate applicants will actually make it through the screening, which is good news because that means you're going to have a screened, lovely surrogate. The downside is that's what accounts for some of the waiting time. We have a waiting list of parents. It's not terribly long, but between the waiting list and the rigorous screening, it takes that time of 6 months to find the surrogate. The screening consists of a medical psychological evaluation by a licensed psychologist, a background investigation by a licensed private investigator, a social work interview to review her home and her life circumstances, and we have a social worker on our staff, and also a medical records review, so we get all of her pregnancy records and we have them reviewed by someone on our staff who's a nurse, but not for medical approval, just for completion of the package of documents. And then your chosen doctor, IVF clinic, must approve the records. So we coordinate with your clinic, we make sure they have the records, we keep in touch with them to get the approval, and we orchestrate that to make sure that you have a very good, sound, lovely surrogate. And if we do that right, the screening, then the rest of the process will fall into place well because there shouldn't be any issues. We minimize all those risks. We minimize, oh, she doesn't communicate enough with you, because we know that she's passed the screening and she's committed and enthusiastic to be a surrogate. We minimize the legal risks because we know to match you in a state in the US where you can become the legal parents. So as the agency, I believe it's our job to reduce those risks to nearly nothing. And the only thing that you should have to contend with then would be those Mother Nature things that we can't control. So the what ifs. Sometimes people have a miscarriage, and that's very devastating, and, but it's surmountable. Your surrogate most likely can try again, and everyone regroups after the emotional loss, and medically we find out that she's capable of going ahead again, so you try again. Sometimes, occasionally, maybe 5% of the time, people need a second surrogate. Your surrogate gets on medication to become prepared for the embryo transfer. Her body does not respond the way the doctor wants it to, and they try again. It doesn't work. You need another surrogate. So we will help you with that aspect of it too, and rematch you. And again, it's frustrating when these things happen. It can create a time loss. It's a financial loss, but not a great deal. If things happen early on, you lose some money, but not a lot. And we try to minimize those risks, but these Mother Nature things can happen. So let's talk then, before we have some time for questions, about the cost, overall cost. I think that you should be able to do surrogacy in the US for about $130,000. And that really is a lot of money. It is the one drawback of surrogacy. Other than that, we can protect you legally. We can do things ethically. You can have a really great experience, a fulfilling experience. But the cost, of course, is the main drawback. But how does that break down then? Your IVF clinic will be approximately $40,000, depending on the package that you choose with them. And that would include your egg donor. So I don't focus on that cost. I know about it, but that is something you'll be dealing with your medical clinic. On my side, we have to look at approximately $90,000. And that breaks down like this. Our agency fee is $25,000. When you sign up with us, you only pay the first half, $12,500. You don't pay anything else until after you're matched with a surrogate. The other costs associated with that total are your surrogate compensation. That's the biggest piece. And that's, I think, you're exposed to about $50,000. And there's a breakdown of that too, but let's leave it at that. You're exposed to about 50. The other piece, two pieces, would be legal costs. And I think $10,000 or under would be your total legal cost. And insurance. If you need to get insurance for the surrogate, it could be approximately $7,000 to $10,000. And then newborn insurance is another issue we have to focus on. But let's put that aside too for a second. Let's look at the surrogate compensation. There'll be a budgeting panel later. I'm part of that, or an insurance and budgeting. And the surrogate compensation is, there's a base for her. It's approximately $35,000. She gets paid that over the 10 months of the 10 months of the pregnancy. And then there's other things that go in the contract. So you might have, I say you're exposed to $50,000, but you might only pay $40,000. If you have one baby and the baby's born on time and the surrogate doesn't go on bed rest, then maybe you don't pay a lot of lost wages to her. So that's contained. Maybe you only pay 2 weeks or 4 weeks of lost wages instead of $7,000 or $8,000 if she goes on bed rest. So the idea of having a single baby is attractive because you're minimizing your medical risks and you're minimizing and reducing your financial risks. So surrogate compensation, base compensation, lost wages, other things that go in like maternity clothing, a payment for the embryo transfer. There's a whole list, and I know there's information that Men Having Babies is giving you this weekend to look at the various things that go into a contract. In insurance, the one other aspect of being international parents doing surrogacy in the U.S. is the newborn insurance. There's it's a big risk if you try to have twins, because more than likely twins are born premature and the costs skyrocket right away. But if you have one baby, more than likely the baby's born on time, and you have basically a few $1,000s of bills related to the baby. So when we think of newborn insurance, we have to look at the options. The first place to look is in your employment or in your country, like the Netherlands has state insurance, cover baby. In the US, if we do things the proper way, according to what the Vilma Usman will tell us to do. Germany, you have an option to upgrade your state insurance to private insurance and cover the baby in the US. These are short term. You don't have to have your German insurance private forever. It's just a matter of making sure that you have it for when your baby's born. There's a company called Allianz that provides insurance. It would be insurance.
Oh, that's fine. Sorry.
That would cover you, and then it would cover your baby. You have to have it in place 6 months before the birth of your baby. I have a contact person at this company. Other than those options, the options are limited and very expensive. But we can guide you and give you resources along the way for this issue. So we have about 5 minutes left, and I think we'll open it up to questions based on what I said.